What's up guys, and welcome to another Pokemon Omega and Alpha Sapphire. I guess this one is both a speculation and an analysis video because, well, obviously that's about Mega Gallade. We don't know a huge amount about Mega Gallade. We know some things, we don't know much though. Unlike Mega Sharpedo and Mega Camerupt, which are revealed alongside it, we don't know Mega Gallade's typing, we don't know its ability, so we haven't got a huge amount to go on. We don't know any stat changes for it either. So yeah, as you might guess, today we're covering Mega Gallade. I'm going to be analysing what we do have, and then speculating on what we could have, I guess. So, I guess, yeah, there's Mega Gallade. The first up, we're going to look at the possible typings for Mega Gallade. Now, a lot of people have just assumed it's going to stay psychic fighting, which has a very big chance to, because that's what it is already, sort of thing, and it could very well stay there. But it could change to other typings as well. The fact that we haven't been told, whereas Mega Camerupt and Mega Sharpedo both stayed their same typing, and we were told about this, we haven't been told, so maybe they're just sort of holding us on to actually change it at some point, or that they already changed it, just haven't told us yet, sort of thing. What other typings could it be? Well, Fairy Fighting is a big possibility there, that being, obviously, when Gardevoir Mega evolves, it goes from Psychic to, well, actually, Gardevoir is Psychic Fairy anyway, so having a Fairy Fighting type would be sort of it would be a nice equivalent to Gardevoir sort of thing. So, instead of it being just Psychic Fighting, whereas Gardevoir has got Psychic Fairy, it sort of works anyway, because Psychic Fairies versus Psychic Fighting, but that gives Gardevoir a big advantage against it, sort of thing. So if we change Mega Gallade to a Fairy Fighting type, you'd have Fairy Fighting versus Fairy Psychic, which is pretty much still, Gardevoir's still got the advantage, but not as big as an advantage, if you guys get what I mean there. Fairy Fighting is a possibility. If you look at its design, it's got these new wings, or cloak, or whatever you want to call it, so that's a possibility in my opinion there because of that, so sort of think about there. But the other typing that is a possibility, I guess, is a Dragon Fighting type. Now, I'm not a big fan of this typing, but just looking at the red blades it has, that's the only thing that make me think it'd be a Dragon Fighting type. I really don't think it's going to be Dragon Fighting. I thought I'd just bring it up in this video because I don't know, it sort of seems, I don't know, it sort of seems like it would fit, but I don't want it at all. I don't want it to be Dragon Fighting. That would not make any sense at all. When we get a Dragon Fighting type, I want it to actually look like a proper dragon, whereas Mega Gallade just sort of looks like Gallade, pretty much, which is nothing like a dragon. So I would say Psychic Fighting, to be honest, is the most likely typing, but Fairy Fighting is also another big one, and Dragon Fighting is just there because of the wild chance, the wild possibility that it could end up becoming that typing, which I doubt it. So that's the typings we've analysed. Now on to the abilities. Obviously, as I said, we haven't got anything about the abilities either, so we can have a bit of speculation here. Now, also in the same issue of the Korokoro magazine that these guys were revealed in, we also learnt about Primal Ground and Primal Koga's new abilities. And they're new, which means we can get abilities added in the middle of a generation. So there is a chance for us to get new abilities here, sort of thing, guys, okay? So I'm going to be talking about two new abilities that they could introduce for Mega Gallade here. So the first one is a variation of Iron Fist, and I'm calling this Sharp Blades, which would make sense because look, Gallade's got Sharp Blades. What would this do? Well, it would power up moves that involve a blade of some sort, involve a blade or swiping or anything like that. So anything that involves a blade, pretty much. Whereas Iron Fist involves boost up anything involved with punching or whatever. Sharp Blades would boost up anything involving a blade or involving something like that. And the reason this is a good ability for Mega Gallade is it has a hell of a lot of moves that this would boost up. These include Leaf Blade, Night Slash, Psycho Cut, which you get Stab on, Aerial Ace, X Scissor, Full Swipe, Fury Cutter, Slash, and several others too, I'm pretty sure. So these are very good moves. All of these here are, most of them are viable moves. Maybe not Full Swipe or Fury Cutter, but I thought I'd just include them anyway. But the rest of them are, all viable moves that it could use in the end. Obviously, Psycho Cut there gets its Stab. There is no Stab Fighting type, unfortunately. So obviously, if it does change from a Psychic type to a Fairy type, whatever, it would lose the only Stab it has in this selection set, whatever here. But it's still a very good ability. Powering up Leaf Blade, so that gives you coverage against Water types, Rock types, Ground types, etc. Night Slash, again, coverage for Psychic types, Ghost types there. Psycho Cut, coverage against Fighting types, Poison types. Aerial Ace, coverage for Grass types, Bug types. X Scissor itself, coverage for Dark types, Psychic types, Grass types again. Full Swipe, Fury Cut, as said, not very viable. Slash, not really coverage for anything, but it has got a pretty high power, and obviously the critical hit ratio too is the thing. So that's a possibility there. I would love to see a variation of Iron Fist for Mega Gallade. I would absolutely, you guys have no idea how much I'd love to see this. I would be amazing, especially for Mega Gallade. I mean, look at the moves it has boosted. They would be awesome for it. The other ability I'm going to think about for Mega Gallade is a variation of Pixelate or Aerolate or something like that. It's like Normalize, Pixelate, Aerolate, Refrigerate. I couldn't think of a name for this, for a fighting type version of it, because I'm not creative at all, so I couldn't think of a name. If you guys have any suggestions for a name with that ability, let me know down in the comments section. But basically a variation of Pixelate or something that would turn normal type moves into fighting type moves, and obviously this would be helpful because then it's only real. It's got Drain Punch, it's got Close Combat really, but obviously it could do with some other fighting type moves, I guess. However, though, Mega Gallade doesn't get decent normal type moves at all. Looking at the ones it could possibly use is Return, Slash, and Cut. Cut's a no-no because it's low power. So Slash is a possibility. Return also a bigger possibility because Return gets more power. So that's the only thing there. Really, that's the only thing. I can't. Yeah, really, that's it. I don't know how useful that ability would be. It might give you with Return, it might give you an alternative to Close Combat, since obviously you don't get any defense drops from that. Return with the boost from the ability, it might just make it slightly, almost as powerful as Close Combat, not quite as powerful, but it might be decent in the end with that boost. So Return could be a possibility to replace Close Combat with this ability, but really I don't think this Pokemon Gallade gets enough normal type moves to make use of Pixelate variation. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Sharp Blades here because I would love to see that ability. I'll later on look at some viable sets for these abilities as well. But now let's move on to the base stat speculation for Mega Gallade, which is one of the only things we can actually do. Well, we can't actually do that well, because we're not told any stat changes. Whereas with Sharpedo and Camera Ups, we are told that Camera Up speed drops and everything else goes up and all the Sharpedo stats go up. We're not told anything from Mega Gallade again, so that's brilliant. What I have done though is I looked at Gardevoir's stats when it changes from normal to Mega, and I sort of just copied them across to Gallade. Obviously a few changes. So health points for Gallade are 68, attack is 125, defense is 65, special attack is 65, special defense is 115, speed is 80, and the base stat total obviously is 518. In terms of Gardevoir, which I think has the same base stats as that, is it's got 125 special attack and 65 physical attack, and its special defense is still 115 and speed is still 80. So the only change for Gardevoir between these two is the attack and special attack are switched over, which is interesting because they have the same defense stats. So defense is still 65 for Gardevoir and still 115 for Gallade, so that's interesting there. So what happens with Gardevoir when it Mega Evolves is it gets a 20 boost in attack, a 20 boost in defense, I don't think there's any boost in defense for Gardevoir when it Mega Evolves, a 40 boost in special attack, and then a 20 boost in special defense, I think. Just quickly bring up Gardevoir's stats to check what I'm saying. Yes, it gets no boost in defense, and a 20 boost in special defense there, and 20 boost in speed as well. So, what I thought of Mega Gallade is, even though sort of the defense stat is the same for Gallade as it's Gardevoir, I think there'd still be a boost in defense, because obviously look at those blades, it can sort of defend physically with those fairly easily. So health points I brought to 68, or they're at 68 anyway. Attack, I've given the 40 boost to attack as is with special attack and Gardevoir, so that makes sense there, to 165, so that's powerful, Defense goes up boosted by 20 to 85, so it actually has a higher defense stat than the Mega Gardevoir. Special attack gets the 20 boost as well to 85 too, even though it's not really going to use special attack at all, but maybe they'll just do that there. Special defense I've given no boost to at all, because obviously Mega Gardevoir gets no boost in its defense from normal Gardevoir, so obviously I put the same on Gallade because it's not. So if Gardevoir doesn't do physical, and Gallade doesn't do special, so that's what makes sense there. Its special defense is still higher than its physical defense, so instead of saying that, you could see a 20 boost in special defense, and no boost in physical defense, but I don't know. Speed, again, I give the boost of 20 to 100, and that gives you a base stat of 618. So you have a very high attack stat, speed is reasonably high, special defense is pretty high as well there. Even without a boost, if it gets a boost again, that's obviously going to be pretty high too, but defense is sort of where it lacks. Special attack is irrelevant because it's special attack, so... but yeah, that's really it, guys. That's it for the stat changes there. I would see that being a solid stat change for Mega Gallade, similar to Gardevoir's stat changes, so you can't complain there, because it's the most likely setup. Maybe, you know, obviously the defenses might have a boost of 20 in special defense and leave physical defense, much like Mega Gardevoir, but that's a possibility I could possibly put in there as well. But Now, let's move on to looking at some other viable moves for Mega Gallade here. Now, obviously, some of these I've already talked about because I'm just looking at viable moves in general here, and we haven't actually talked about any stab moves in the first place. So, viable moves for Gallade, Mega Gallade, we have Leaf Blade, Night Slash, Psycho Cut, Close Combat, Swords Dance, Bulk Up, Earthquake, Poison Jab, Drain Punch, Knock Off, and Ice Punch. So, let's look down these. We have Leaf Blade, as I talked about earlier, coverage for Rock, Ground, Water, etc. Night Slash, coverage for Psychic and Ghost. Psycho Cut, coverage for your Poison and your, what's it against fighting, that's the one. Close Combat is your main fighting stab, very powerful. Obviously does lower your defenses there, which is the only problem with it. Swords Dance is going to boost your defense, boost your attack up rather by 2 stages, which is powerful if you can get one of those off. Bulk Up is going to raise your attack and your defense, so if you want to go for a bit more of a stable set, you can go for that. This depends whether it gets its 20 boost in defense or not, because if it doesn't get a boost in defense at all, then there's really no point in raising your defense because it's low enough anyway. If it does get a boost in defense though, that'd be pretty cool, because it would allow you to use Bulk Up as a sort of viable move. Then we have Earthquake and Poison Jab, really just coverage moves. A Poison Jab particularly there against Fairy types, because obviously you're weak to those. Drain Punch is another stab hit, it's a very useful stab as well. Not as powerful as Close Combat, but it does heal your health points too, so certainly a move to think about. Knock Off is boosted up in Generation 6, and it's going to knock off that item too, which makes it very useful sort of support, I wouldn't say support set, but utility move I guess. Ice Punch, again, it's just a bit more coverage there for, flying types, dragon types, etc. Which is pretty good there. So that's your viable moves for Mega Gallade. Now if we go on to look at some viable sets for Mega Gallade. Now the first 2 viable sets I'm looking at here are for Sharp Blades, the ability I'm talking about, the variation of Iron Fist. So the first set here we have a Psycho Cut, Night Slash, Leaf Blade in Close Combat. So the first thing you get boosted by your Sharp Blades thing here, and I thought I'd put a Fighting type stab on, even though it doesn't get boosted by Sharp Blades, because otherwise you've got no Fighting type stab, so you really need one there. Close Combat obviously would only be used when it has to be used anyway, because it's very powerful and such, so you could probably just deal with the other 3 moves for the majority of the fight, and also use Close Combat only when needed. The other set I've looked at here is just basically all 4 Sharp Blades moves, so Psycho Cut, Night Slash, X Scissor and Leaf Blade. So by removing Close Combat, you allow me to put X Scissor on, which gives me coverage against Grass types, Dark types, Psycho types, so it's pretty good. Obviously you have Night Slash for some of those, but you guys get what I mean there. You could switch out X Scissor for other moves like Aerial Ace or Slash possibly, but I put X as X, I feel like it's the most useful within them. But those are 2 viable sets I looked at there for Sharp Blades. The final, or the other viable set, we're looking at the Fighting type Pixelate or whatever. I put Psycho Cut, Return, Swords Dance, and an Earthquake or Poison Jab. Psycho Cut for your Psychic Stab, assuming we're staying as Psychic Fighting type. Return, obviously we're going to be your Fighting type move now rather than Close Combat. Swords Dance is there to use if you can, of course, and an Earthquake or Poison Jab is for coverage on whatever you want there. Now, I think I thought to talk about at the start when we were talking about the possible typings for Mega Gallade, is that the only stabs it has, it gets 1 fairy move, which I think is like Dazzling Gleam, that's a special move. It doesn't get any dragon type moves, doesn't get any fairy type moves apart from that. Which means if it changes typing at all, it's going to be very weak, because it wouldn't get any decent stabs there, unless of course it does get some, maybe you get Play Rough via a move tutor. That would be the saving grace for a fairy fighting type for Mega Gallade. But Dragon type, I can't see it getting any Dragon type moves. Possibly Dragon Claw, I don't know, but apart from that, yeah, I can't really see it. If it turns Dragon Fighting, it's going to be very weak in terms of stab, because it's going to lose the stab Psycho Cut, unfortunately. So that's why I prefer it to stay Psychic Fighting. But guys, I think that's going to be it for Mega Gallade. Let me know what you think about the Fighting type Pixelate, any names for that, and let me know what you think about the Sharp Blades typing too, because I'm very excited about a possibility for that on Mega Gallade. Let me know if you think that'd be pretty cool to see, and just let me know what you think about Mega Gallade in general down below in the comments section. Tune in next time when I'm going over possible sets for Mega Camerupt and Mega Sharpedo. So, I'll be seeing you then. Drop a like if you can, guys. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.